Hello everyone and welcome back. Today about how to choose a specialist working with energies. So anything what they say that sounds more esoteric is not about doctor, but it's not a psychotherapy. And with these things that are unexplained and you think you need it, or you want to find out more about things that are happening and they seem to be peculiar, unexplained, you need different sort of a specialist. You look for shaman, psychic, clairvoyant, whatever, you name it. So it's a little bit more difficult than just looking for a psychotherapist, because you are operating now on something that is not proved, unexplained, there's not enough documentation about it. So how to choose the right one for you and what to pay attention to. Everything I'm saying from my own personal perspective, and I'm sharing with you what I experience and those around me. So my own observations. The ethics in medicine, psychology are already established. We know very well what's happening in the therapeutic contract between client and the therapist. That is a sort of a transference, you know, one is falling in love into another. There is this charming thing going on. They like each other. It can happen. That's why it's forbidden. Everything has a reason. And these things are pretty fresh in these esoteric schools and more likely to be, the borders are more likely to be crossed. So you have to pay attention more to that from the perspective of a client, because you are on more vulnerable position. You are opening yourself to someone who's going to work pretty deep on the issues you're coming with. So the reincarnation, hypnotherapy, whatever that is. So the ethics here are already there. It is establishing for all these years. Maybe not enough, maybe it's improving, but here's something to pay attention to. So if you are opening up a newspaper, well, these days more internet, more likely, and you see a great master of, I would be careful with that statement. You know, I in Poland also did all these courses, Reiki, first, second, master Reiki, but I would not put my name in a newspaper saying great master of, or whatever that is. I think that, and again, this is only my thing, that's why I'm trying to be a little bit more careful with wording here, with words. Maybe there are indeed some real masters. They are for me more gurus, and that means teacher. Guru means a teacher, but masters, maybe some people tend to worship. So I would be just careful with that. So if someone calls himself that, I would really challenge that person. That's just me. So, you know, in Polish language, there is a name for trusting someone. It's called ufam. So I'm a very peculiar in this trusting thing. So anytime someone says, trust me, ufaj me, in Polish language, the most thing I can say is uf. That's all I can say. Trust yourself, I would say, first. Then you don't have to trust anybody else. You just know. But of course it's not easy, and it's not easy if you don't have a knowledge, if you don't see energies, if you're not intuitive or not enough, or you don't trust yourself. Basically, if what you're seeing is true. So you're looking for mirror, somebody who views the world from the same perspective at least. So pay attention to words. People are telling about who they are, how they are presenting their business, how much money they charge, how they trying to convince you into what they are doing. It's going to help you. I had a peculiar example when I wasn't living in the Netherlands, and I wrote it. This is in a book too, if you want us to get to that. Maybe some of you read that part already, but just for those who didn't read my books, I will share with this interesting concept how you can be manipulated into something. So if the there was an example when a friend of mine had a tarot cards reader, and I'm reading tarot too. And the lady told me very bad things. I'm going to die in the Netherlands within a month and blah, blah, blah. Sort of things, you know. I was immigrant at that time, and I had a position that was really not so nice. And these things can really play with your subconscious mind. You can really get scared. But there is this thing within me that I always try to dig deeper and see what's behind, what's the intention behind. So what's turned out, this person was feeling threatened by me, because probably I was reading cards, and that was a very good client. Her friend was my friend was a very good client of hers, so she just needed to get rid of me. Once I understood that, I didn't need to forgive her or anything like that. I just understood the dynamic and the intention was behind, so I didn't have to be worried about anything else. But that's also very important to look into intention of the person who is working with you. And this one is hard, because this intention is not something that this person will tell you. You have to dig a little bit, you have to ask the proper kinds of questions. So that's the thing that I'm advising, to interview potential people that you're looking for. So if you look for a hypnotherapist, you pick some and you discuss with them. You are asking how they work, how much they charge, what is their ethics, and they will tell you, probably professionally, how they work, but your body will respond to them in a certain way. So pay attention to that. Another thing is, so they pay attention to intention, to the wording. And the last thing is a documentation. In Poland, for example, we have a psychic, and he's very well known. It's a Mr. Krzysztof Jackowski, and he has enormous documentation how he finds dead people. It's amazing. He's collecting that, and he got witnesses, and he was very persistent during the years, and I'm really glad he did that, because he's a great example of how you need to pay attention yourself to prove that what you're saying was right. And sometimes I can tell that he was doubting himself on the way. But his documentation is something that can always lift him up, because that's a proof. So another person I recently did interviews with them, it was Claes Fan from Sweden, ufologist, and Mary Rodwell, hypnotherapist from Australia. And these people having also amazing documentation of their work. And they observe similar things. They are collecting it. So that's another thing to pay attention to before you get you can get recommendation from someone about their spiritual work. And it's great if you just get recommendation from the friend of yours, but even that is not so precise as that, paperwork, because there is this factor that our perception plays enormous role. So the same person can be a good specialist, but it doesn't resonate with me. It resonates with other people and it helps them. And I have a friend who is psychic in Poland, and he is very also honest. If he cannot help someone, he doesn't take anything, and he tells that he cannot help, and he directs this person to someone else. That's a really strong ethic, and I admire that. So another thing that I think can help also is to check those people when you are feeling good. So if you are under threat of the life-threatening disease and you are in fear, that's not the best time. You need to come to the certain point within yourself and then try to find out more about the people you would like to get help. If you like to go this energy path, because if you have a life-threatening sickness, I definitely would recommend a doctor first, and psychotherapy is the next, and then someone who works with energies on the third place. Now, if you are also in a strong emotional state, not necessarily fear, but even excited, even something good, that is also not the best time, because your intuition, your perception is different. In a different state of a consciousness, you're perceiving things differently. So the best decision you will probably make and choose the best person from, assuming you have a list to choose from, when you are peaceful with yourself, when you are calm, and when you have a sort of a clarity with yourself, at least to what do you want to explore, or what do you think is the case of what's going on. I think more or less I expressed all my opinions, humble opinions, just my. If you would like to add something more, please do so. Maybe I forgot about something, how to pick that right person for yourself, so please add more, because we are all learning here, and looking forward to hearing from you about this topic. Thank you very much for listening, and have a lovely day. Hi there, my dear close friends, English-speaking friends from all over the world. So I was looking for a good spot, a shadow, but with a beautiful view, but it didn't work out. So I have a shadow, so I can see camera for a second, and then I will try to monitor it so you will see something better, like nice views, not just trees, although the trees are pretty nice. And this is my last day in Croatia. I'm in Zadar. It's beautiful here. It's like being in another dimension. It's worth to be here, because the experience you have within yourself, nobody can take it away. So going to those places, traveling, it's worth it for me. But we will talk about traveling more about another video. But this one, I will tell you just a little bit about what news I am gathering from you, and what to be very, very careful about. So one lady wrote me, shall she buy candles from esoteric man who's selling them for quite a bit of money to do a white magic ritual of love? So I don't know, probably many of you already know what I'm going to tell to that, but what are in such a price? Are these candles from gold, or my other friends said maybe they are in the shape of a penis, that's why. I don't know, but the thing is that if you want to help economically someone, this is your friend, makes candles itself, and it's a price, and you want to support someone, do it. But if you're feeling you are manipulated and your gut feeling is telling you something is off, and the price for the very simple white candle is such high, then you know what to do. Another thing, there is someone, and these news are coming to me, I don't know how many times. I heard already that lady that's supposed to help someone, she is over and over telling the same story to people who seek help. And if you go to someone and you are desperate, in a despair, and in such a state of mind, you don't have energy, and you know very well if you don't have it, it will be taken away from you. If you have it, you will gain more. That another, the principle, it was even in Bible written, applies pretty well. So because then you don't have access to your feelings, and people who are not following certain ethics of work, and in these cases like spirituality, you don't have certificates, and even if you do, I don't know how many schools are there, and that's why we have a psychotherapy schools,
and certificates, and people learning that crafting have supervision for many, many years, so they have ethics of work. And if they cross that, there is a certain consequence to that. And a spirituality is different. You have to more follow your feeling. So at least you know in psychotherapy, the specialist, even if you don't resonate with him, her, won't hurt you. In esoteric world, weird stuff can happen. So you gotta be more careful here. So what this lady is telling, the story goes more or less like this. She tells people that they are fallen angels, and whether they don't have a soul or it was taken away from them for a few hours, for a few days, different stories. Here this differs just a bit. Or their spouses took soul from them. Here the stories are different. It's good for a good book, and frankly, like, if my author imagination goes wild, sure, there is something in mythology, we will get to that maybe another time, but if that would happen, taking away the soul, then I think you would not be able to walk freely on earth. You would suffer quite a bit, something like that, and other people would really feel that something is really wrong with you, and they will be scared to be in your presence. Not mentioning you probably would behave like a zombie. That's just my imagination. You know that, right? So I just urge everyone, please be so careful. And if you are in a desperation, because these things are happening when people are in a difficult state of mind. So first call someone you trust, talk about it. Discuss the people you think they're looking so great on internet, they want to help, they have a great marketing, they have a great image. We all know how it works. Maybe not all of us, but a lot of us knows how it works, and how the impression of the website, references, you don't know where is it coming from. And if there are the more popular, the more I actually don't want to say that, but it happens very often that there are the full campaign to launch someone, and then it costs a lot of money. And if you do have it, if you want to, if you can afford it, you can pay for the experience and add to the economy of the country. Go for it. Support other people. Go for it. But if you cannot afford it, and you are spending your last money for someone you don't know, you're not sure, and then you hear stories, I'll be more careful here. And if you do come across someone who's telling you things like you are fallen angel or something like that, then ask question, how did you know about it? Where did you see that? Was it in your vision? How did you check with your cards? Handle them? Because there is a certain ethics. I do read tarot, runes, and I always say this one very important thing, that these are just cards. I interpret them, and if something doesn't resonate with you, you should not believe me. You should not believe it, and keep asking questions until you will be satisfied, because I am trying to do the best I can my work, and also interpret impressions that are coming into my vision. But 100%, who can see things 100%? So yeah, that's just it. I'm going to show you a little bit of the view, because it feels like I'm like in another dimension here, and just part of me doesn't want to go back. And let me check if I don't record anyone. So I cannot see myself anymore. I hope you can see that beautiful sun. Yes, sort of. I actually came into camera more, but this is my view for the last day, and I will be going back to another normality. So take as much as you can still, breaths, looking at the sunsets, whatever you are, because this is part of the energy and part of how you're connecting with yourself. And I would tell you just one last thing. If you don't know what to do, your body is always sending you signals. If something is good for you or it is not. And your body is giving you those signals in a pretty drastic way when it doesn't agree with you. So, you know, this gut feeling, you have pain in the stomach when someone tells you things that you don't deeply agree with, but you politely listening because maybe you think you should, or maybe it's so-called specialist or a doctor. So that's one thing, and a lot of people want to go and experience other dimensions of being, other astral worlds, other subtle bodies. They learned that there are lots of subtle bodies out there. The materialistic is just the one of it, but how can you do that if you don't have a connection first to your material, physical parts of the body where someone is crying? I'm aware of that. When we are not aware where in our body we hold our fears, and we all have them, our anxiety, hopes, wishes, worries, all of that we carry with ourselves. So I think the most important to start this so-called spiritual growth or continue is to start with your own body. Any form, Tai Chi, yoga, dance, martial arts, swimming, anything is good. It's up to you what is your best. Hi everyone. I am in Palmer in Croatia, and I'm looking for a very quiet spot this time because there is always interesting stuff going on, and some of you, mostly in Polish language, but very little English. My English friends are asking about different topics, and these always are coming in a collective way. So when someone is writing, there are a few emails that are similar considering certain topic. Today I want to tell you about topic, give the monkey knife and you will see what will happen. So I'm going to talk about integration, the level of integrity within ourselves, teacher within us, and those specialists around us, gurus, teachers, that you are going for assistance, for help, and all the tricks that may await for you. It's good to do that. Every one of us is a teacher. Everyone has teacher within that we are following, and there are a lot of good specialists out there. So I'm not actually pointing into not going into schools, coaching sessions. I am a coach myself. I am just want to let you know that there are certain things that certain things may be abused, not due to sometimes not lack of knowledge. These people are trained, they are psychologists, but due to lack of the basic relationships, communication skills, or lack of integrity, personality, integrity within the teacher that you're going to. So I'm going to show you a little bit more nicer view instead of just this wall in my face. And I am close to this. This is actually sea, but it's very quiet and it's a really nice spot, and there's a lot of little boats here, some of probably for the renting. So I hope this will be a little bit more inspiring view, although I had to pick quietly or more nicer view. So this is maybe not the best one, but it's going to serve us today. So first of all, considering the integrity of the teacher, there is always a cult or followers. Some people, some leaders, they have an enormous amount of followers. They do workshops for hundreds, thousands of people. There is nothing wrong with that, and I also participate in those groups. But what's very, very important, as I mentioned in my previous one, so one video back, I suggest you can go if you didn't listen, if you would like to, of course, is that not all of this work is well facilitated. I was saying there how it's supposed to look like, what can happen, what are the tricks of it. And you know, I always recall the great teachers, and the great ones were always having this humility toward the life, not to other people, but toward the life, and the way they were treating you like a friend. Their rank, abilities, experience, skills were much higher than mine, but they never let me know that I am somewhere not equal to them. So, for example, recently, I know a man much older than me, and he's a specialist, he's a doctor, he's working with naturopathy, and he was helping me a lot, and he has this enormous rank and authority in the society. And I came across a dream about him, considering his own health, and I didn't know if I should tell him that, but that was a tip concerning his own health, and I had no idea what was going on there. But I told him, and his reaction was pretty cool, because he actually encouraged me to keep digging, because it's interesting, and he never thought about it this way. So you see, I'm going to have to turn the camera a little bit, unfortunately, my direction, because every now and then, even here, people passing by, there is a car, but every now and then not. So let's come back to the better view. And recently I also experienced something else, something that is that maybe you experience when you go to a specialist, and I also described that in one of my oracle series. And this was about the family constellation, former times, when the therapist was I didn't know that time. I thought it should look it like that she's supposed to be so directive, and I didn't know that she was simply arrogant, and I didn't know until it came out, and I described it hopefully pretty well for everyone, so you have something to pay attention to. If you don't do that already, probably you do. So the level of the quality of the reaction of those people will let you know who they really are, what is their level of integrity, how they are going to make you feel about yourself, if you have also insight about them, because none of us is completely perfect. We are always on the way towards something, and other people are also bringing us puzzles, portion of knowledge that we may use, and this may be our student. So if the teacher is welcoming that, that's great, but also it depends how the student, of course, is bringing that information forward. So this is the level of integrity that I would like to make sure that you pay attention to. And some of you also reported me how you were lied to and abused, because you trusted the specialist, especially in the spirituality field, where there is a lot still not cool stuff happening, and people, because they don't sense energy, because they don't trust themselves, they are subject of a big abuse on many levels. So I will tell you what to pay attention to very shortly in a nutshell. These people are targeting vulnerable audience. So they always reading. Some hackers also paying attention to the profile, reading, studying your Facebook. This is why there's always this tendency to not, this advice nowadays, don't put your personal stuff on Facebook, social media, and so on. But even if you don't, the algorithm pretty much knows you better than you know yourself. And if someone wants to use that, abuse that, he can. He has all the data about you in the internet already. So so they are targeting your vulnerable parts. That's the number one. Number two, they give you some portion of the truth, and then they are slowly pushing your borders toward, hey, you never did that, you never accomplished that, you were never ever on this journey that cost maybe $18,000, euros, whatever. Why don't you do it now with us? It's gonna completely change your life. So this is how they talk, and they are promising you things that you never had. They figure out, of course, what is your dream first, what is your wish first. And this is a really cool time because it's a time of the truth right now, and a lot of these things are coming out, and you recognize better and better who these people are. They are great motivational speakers, they are showmen, showwomen, and it will be all good. I have nothing against that. It will be all good if they work in the film. They are good actors, but you know, the idea is they always take a portion of an ancient knowledge concerning spirituality, piece of psychology, and it's just a piece of that. So they never actually read maybe the whole book of Kybalion, and they take only one law of that, law of attraction, remember secret? That's how it goes. And we go for that because why we do that? Because we have a lack, this enormous lack and unfulfillment within us that we try to ignore. And on this, they are running their show. So the idea is, the third, I said already, to check it, the level of integrity, and also the level, let's say one more thing, check the level of cruelty. Test your teacher, test reactions of other people, the specialists that you are about to trust. How will they react if you tell them you have, I don't know, you are a different person, you are, for example, you have a different opinion? That is usually what annoys people, what gives another reaction, that you don't agree with them. Test their level of cruelty and reactions towards you, how they are going to treat you. This is how you learn, how you can find out. But how to lessen, now I'm going to talk about it, how to lessen the impact of those people on you. And the first, number one, is of course knowing yourself. And it sounds very banal at this point because everybody talks about it, but what does it mean if we do not trust ourselves? If we don't know we have intuition, how can we? We cannot. And it's about knowing your shadows, knowing your weak or vulnerable spots. They are maybe not wrong, they are not weak, but they are vulnerable. They are something private about you, something, your peculiarities. And the more you pay attention to that and you're conscious about it, the less influential the less influence they will have on you. They will lose that influence. So knowing your traumas, your patterns of behaviors, your shadows. And if someone tells me at this point that, oh, I work this through, I'm cool, I'm okay, I know all about myself, I don't believe that. And it's actually like an invitation for me to test it out. And of course, if someone tells me also the leader that is going to take a great project and lead thousands of people, that is like a request to the universe, please test me. And of course the universe will test us. Always, it's happening to every one of us. This is another point to test these people. First, take care of yourself. The another one, by knowing yourself. The second one is testing people, specialists, checking their reactions toward us. Another one is sometimes they are, coming like a good enemy, but you are the one to pick your enemy if you want to learn and turn it into your ally, into some good qualities, because we do learn in the process when something is in a conflict to us. So we do not have to take up every challenge, because every time we do come in a conflict with someone, it is all about energy, and our energy goes where our attention, of course, goes. So we can pick the fight, and this is a great question here, where your energy flows, toward whom, toward what is it worth it, your time, your lifespan, your energy, of course. So these are the most basic things. So one more time, I hope I am pretty clear here and pretty precise. So in a very, very, very nutshell, to make it very clear, I hope in a 30 degrees in the shadow, that's a good thing. I keep my clarity. So first of all, you check the level of integrity of your teacher and also yourself about their reaction. You are continuously growing and learning about your shadows, your spots, your weak points, your reactions, your personality, how you are more likely to react, what throws you off balance. Because the more you know, the less they can manipulate you. And then, of course, you differentiate. You follow the teachers that you are feeling equal with, that they are always showing you that they are your sort of like a partner, maybe not like a friend, but also that even though their rank maybe is higher, maybe they know, they study, they learned, but they are open also for you, for your experience, to follow you, because following a leader is just one role that very quickly turns into another one when the leader follows actually the person that is to be led towards something. So if you do a session, like a coaching session, and you do learn at school, those are typical questions you have to ask your client. You may feel that this is not appropriate, it's too early, this is where you follow your client. You do not have to do that exactly the way that they taught you. You create your own choreography of life, and you are following your client when you are leading the client. So I hope that was clear for today. I will tell you more next time, and let me know what you think about it. Bye bye.